If you think like, act like, or are trying to grow like a franchise, then the Franchise Euphoria podcast is for you. Hello and welcome, everybody. Josh Brown here, and I created this podcast for one main goal: to help people who are trying to grow their business through franchising or franchise-like structures. I've been practicing law now as a franchise lawyer for many, many years, and I've seen it done the right way and the wrong way. This podcast is not filled with a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Rather, I talk with real people, people who have been there, have done it, are doing it right now. And I also dive deep into specific topics related to franchising. So if this is of interest to you, you are at the right place. So super excited today to be speaking with Brittany Driscoll. She is the co-founder of a massage concept called Squeeze Massage. And in 2017, Brittany, who was vice president of marketing at Drybar at the time, was tapped to turn Squeeze into a reality by stepping into the role of CEO and spearheading the launch of the brand and the opening of the first location in Los Angeles. So the founder of Drybar is Ali Webb. And of course, that turned into a whole phenomenon itself. And so Ali and Brittany co-founded Squeeze Massage. And really what Squeeze is trying to do is fit in between sort of the super high-end, unaffordable massage experience and the low end crappy experience, and provide great customer service, provide the type of luxury that people who typically pay for the high-end massages get, but also do it in a way that takes care of people and utilizes technology and has great company culture. So as you'll learn from listening into my conversation today with Brittany, they really utilize technology to help, and they focus a lot on the culture and the branding of what they provide. Obviously, as with everybody, COVID had a massive impact on their business because they were off to the races when they first began. And you'll learn about that in the interview. But really enjoyed this conversation with Brittany. You could tell, I certainly could, that she's a go-getter. And it seems to me like we're going to be hearing a lot more about Squeeze Massage in the very near future. So without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Brittany. Thanks. Hello, Brittany. Welcome to Franchise Euphoria. How you doing?
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you. You're a seasoned entrepreneur. You've been at this for a number of years now, co-founder of a great new brand called Squeeze, but there's a whole backstory, I feel like, to all of it. So why don't you just kick this off by introducing yourself a little bit and telling us about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate the seasoned comment, although I feel like we all are constantly learning and growing. And, when you start something, it's like you always find that there's so much more to know. And I think that's, probably been one of the most invigorating aspects of my entrepreneurial journey thus far is just, learning from wonderful people and figuring out how to make something great happen. My background, just, really quickly, I started my career in marketing and advertising. I got a chance to work with amazing brands like Barbie and Hot Wheels, Disney, Coca-Cola, worked on several different global campaigns across different channels, figuring out how to drive business growth. I loved every minute of those experiences. Definitely got to do some very cool things along the way. But after several years of doing that, I wanted to take a lot of the learnings that I had gathered and apply it to a brand that personally resonated with me. And at the time, Drybar, had just entered the marketplace, and
Well, that was 2008, right? Around that time?
it was actually 2010. They
10,
launched
okay.
in 2010. Yes. So they're 11 years old now, which is crazy to say and think. And I actually entered the organization in 2013. So it had been around for a couple of years. The brand had around 25 locations when I started. They were looking, obviously, for a head of marketing, given my background and being such the fan that I was of the experience. And also Ali, who just is an amazing entrepreneur herself, I loved the idea of taking all of my learnings, bringing it in house, and doing it for a brand that again I was excited about. And so they had around 25 locations. The product line had test piloted into about 70 Sephora doors. Flash forward to when I left, which was in 2017, I helped open more than 60 doors, onboarded several franchisees, launched the product line into all of the prestige retailers that it is in today, including international expansion into France, Canada, Mexico, Spain, and Australia. So it was an amazing 4-year ride. I mean, I just loved every minute of it, in addition to like building the team and all the processes and protocols that came along with opening doors and onboarding franchisees and launching products. The brand really stood for something very powerful, which is, we always used to say, we weren't selling blowouts, we were selling happiness and confidence that came with a blowout. And so, I think we all really felt like we were building and creating kind of this mission of championing women and creating this awesome experience that set them on a great trajectory for their day. So, and that was, for me, that was so powerful, and I really felt like what a cool thing to be a part of a brand that is truly meaningful in people's lives. And so while Drybar has a long trajectory ahead of itself, I've always been an entrepreneurial spirit and a builder at heart. And so after those 4 years, I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I loved this, and I kind of want to take all of the learnings that I just experienced and go back into building mode and do it all again, and like figure out how to find the next Drybar, if you will, and apply all my learnings to do it like bigger and better. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what brand I was, wanting to go to next. I just knew that I was like itching for the next challenge. And so, I told Michael and Allie that I was ready to move on, and, I wanted to help them properly transition the next person into my role. I mean, I cared so much about the team and the brand. And as we were going through that, they kindly reminded me that they'd always had this other idea in the back of their mind. They just didn't have the bandwidth to get it off the ground. And that idea, of course, was Squeeze. It didn't have a name at the time, but they really looked at the massage landscape similar to the salon or the hair industry prior to Drybar, which was there was a hole in the middle. On one end, there were the low end discount chains like Massage Envy, Hand and Stone, etc. Really created an accessible experience for the majority of Americans, but today lack a little bit from a customer experience standpoint. And then on the flip side, you've got the high end spas and hotels, which are lovely but unattainable both from a time and resource aspect. So and that was kind of like the same industry landscape as before Drybar. There were low end discount salons, high end salons, nothing that really like brought that higher end experience at an affordable price point. And so that's really where we started with Squeeze. However, the biggest differentiation of our experience is technology. We've built out an app that enables our guests to do everything from book, set all their personalized preferences, everything from areas of the body they want focused on, what they want avoided, if they want more or less pressure, if they want oil or lotion, if they prefer their table heated. All of those preferences are saved to their profile and shared with their therapist prior to the guest even walking in. So we've already eliminated kind of the awkward in-person exchanges that exist today in the typical experience. And then beyond that, we've like added personalization aspects in the room so you can adjust lighting, temperature, and music to your liking. We've even added a ready button to our table so the guests can let the therapist know when they're ready for them to re-enter. Again, that's actually funny enough. We created that from a guest experience standpoint because that was always like, our experience. You're like rushing to get under the covers, but it's also a favorite feature of our therapists because, as you can imagine, they've had some interesting awkward moments themselves. And so in any case, that's one other aspect that we've built. And then, like I said, when the massage is over, the guest gets to, we like to say they walk in and they float out. They get to stay in that relaxed state of mind, rate, tip, and review on their phone at their leisure, like Uber and Postmates. They can favorite a therapist, easily rebook. So we've really tried to just make the whole thing very seamless. And, so far, obviously the past year has been a little nutty, but other than that, it's been a really great launch.
Sounds like it. And it sounds like obviously, when you're talking about Drybar and you're talking about Allie Webb, who really it's an amazing story, that in and of itself and a whole industry. I remember because I've been doing this a long time too in franchising, but I remember when I first heard about Drybar, it was probably around then. Gosh, it was a long time ago. And somebody asked me
Mhm.
if I was familiar with the concept. I said, Look at me. Do you think I know what a dry bar is? I'm bald. I mean, I have no idea what is that? I didn't even know what it was. And now, of course, you see that
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yep.
Um, and so it sounds like the combination between you, Brittany, Allie, and you said Michael as well kind of came up and fine tuned this concept of squeeze. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Michael's another bald man, as we always like to comment on as well. He, just believed in his little sister's idea, and good thing that he did. But yes, I mean, it was actually really their idea, to be honest. They just didn't have the bandwidth to get it off the ground, and so they were kind enough to really give me the opportunity to run with it, which I'm very very grateful for. And yeah, I mean, so much of the Drybar story is such a magical one, and so inspirational on many levels. And we've been able to take so many learnings from that and apply it to Squeeze, and also, quite frankly, apply a lot of the things that after having built Drybar, we wish we had had the opportunity to do from
Well,
the
see, that's
outset.
what I love. That's what I was excited to hear about too today, because I mean, so many people who are listening, who tune in to this show, are tuning in because they're going through a similar circumstance. They've
Yeah,
got an idea, they've got a dream, they've got some sort of business in mind that either they're thinking about doing, they've already done, they're in the midst of doing or redoing. And so many of these things, I mean, a lot of times we talk about all the different things that you know or should know, and here's what you got to plan for. But the reality is sometimes you just got to do, you got to get in there and do stuff, and you learn. So I'd love for you to spend a few minutes talking about that, some of the things that you learned from the dry bar days that you were able to take over to Squeeze so that you wouldn't make some of the same mistakes.
yeah. Well, and I'll say too, even with experience, there's still so many things that come up once you're actually in the driver's seat doing it all. So, I mean, I think that's such an important thing for everyone to remember too, is no matter how experienced you feel like you are, like there's still going to be so many things as an entrepreneur that get thrown at you that you're not prepared for. And that has to be part of something that you enjoy, like the chaos of the unknown, as I like to say. And I think, that's part of what Michael and Ali saw in me, was just the kind of resilience of that mindset and perspective that is so important. But some of the things that we applied, again, just based from our learnings. So the technology piece, I will say, is the biggest one, and it's beneficial across all three layers. So obviously, we built it from a guest standpoint because none of us are massage therapists. We did partner with consultants out the gate to make sure that we were being mindful of our future staff. But it was around this experience that we all know and we love, and we want it to be even better. What are the pain points? So, that's really what our app is set out to do, is just like remove all the clunky aspects of the current experience. But it's also so great for the staff because our therapists are able to, again, it's like we've empowered them. They have all of the information at their disposal to create a great experience. And so far in that, not only are they reviewing the preferences prior to the guest walking in, but we've made them accessible throughout the massage. So like they have all of the guest preferences via an iPad, that we designed within the room itself, an area where the iPad sits, so the therapists are able to like see all of that information throughout the massage. Again, really making sure that what the guest has asked, we're able to deliver on. And again, I think when you think about the service industry that we're in, I always like to say we're actually in the people industry, not the service industry. It's like anything that you could be doing to empower your people is critical. And so we thought about all of those little things. I think, as I mentioned too, we partnered with massage therapist consultants, and we also designed this space to be mindful of their experience. We've padded the floors. Like there's so many little things, the rooms, so that when they're working, there's so many little things like that we've designed from the outset, because we care about the people delivering the experience. And I would say more than anything, that was my biggest takeaway. It was also my biggest inspiration when I started to think through how we could build this business. Because I mean, when Michael and Ali approached me with the idea, I was kind of like, well, let me think about this for a minute. I think that I was thinking I would go back into like a dry bar level brand, not necessarily start something from scratch. So I took a little bit of time actually, and I explored a lot of other opportunities that were out there. But I told them, I was like, I'll start to build the model and how I think that we could position the brand. And if I end up, not wanting to move forward, I'll like pass it back to you and you can see if you can find someone else to do it type of thing. And of course, what ended up happening was I really realized as I started to think through like what are the values of the company and what are we going to stand for, that there was just such an opportunity in the people space to create a great place where people want to come to work. And so that really has been our focus, is the people side of the business. And but I guess going back, I'm kind of going all over the place, but going back really quickly to like how the technology is benefiting not only the guest and the staff, it also is going to benefit our franchise partners significantly.
It's huge. I mean, listen, one of the things that I'm noticing across all franchising, right? I mean, one of the things that I talk a lot about with people who I work with and talk to, and just people generally in the industry is as a franchisor, you have the value proposition at the outset of the relationship. That should be clear, right? Here, you're going to give
Yeah,
somebody a playbook, you're going to give them a brand or the building of a brand, and you're going to give them some operational pieces, some marketing pieces, and so forth. That should go without saying. The key, though, is what happens a year and a half down the road when
yeah,
now they know how to run the business and now they're still paying royalties, they're still paying those fees. They need to be able to say to themselves, yes, I'm still getting amazing
yeah,
value from the franchisor. And so often that comes from technology
yeah.
because you're the R&D for the technology and making sure that they stay ahead of the game.
Exactly. And I mean, the great thing about having built everything that we did from the outset of this business is the innovation piece and the ability to continue to innovate will be so much easier because we have the foundation set. And we knew, again, taking learnings from Drybar, unlike Drybar, where Allie opened her first location in LA and they just kind of stumbled into the success that they found. We started Squeeze with the intention of franchising. We knew that we were going to support local small business owners in the future. And so every decision that we made was like, okay, can franchisee number 28 and then 75 and then 642 like do their job with how we're, building this right now.
I love that because doesn't that make it so much easier? I mean, if you start knowing that you want to go down a franchise model, and it doesn't even have to be, I tell people all the time, if you don't like franchising for one reason or another, but you just build your business thinking like a franchise,
Right.
you're going to be a better
A
business
hundred
because now
percent.
you're thinking about, hey, I'm not just concerned about how I operate this one location. How is this going to translate to store two, three, or
Exactly.
642, like you said?
Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, optimistic.
Exactly. And so the technology piece, again, because it streamlines the guest experience, it streamlines the staff experience, but it also, like, on the back end, like, think about financial reports and a lot of the administration side of what franchisees who are accustomed to having like their own point of sale and their locations, et cetera. All of that is going to be automated and streamlined on our side of things. So it's like their focus gets to truly be on the experience. And in addition to that, one of the things that we've done that I'm super excited about is we have a centralized guest service team, which I know that in and of itself is nothing special. However, what we're doing is we're building them to be two pronged, if you will. So it's like not only are they going to be able to support the guest experience, but they're also going to be like first line for the franchisees. So at any given, because a lot of the times, there's one person in the organization that the franchisee has access to like ask questions. And so we're going to build an entire team that is accessible basically, I mean, not fully 24/7, but within the operating hours of each time zone, that they'll have access to someone who can like immediately respond to and address any issue. And so I think that, again, when you think about scaling a system, having access to someone like that, whenever you need them, it is also game changing. That, and then the other piece of the technology side is just the ability to have a slimmer in shop team, the staff, so it's like you're not, we don't have three people at the front desk, we have one maitre d because our systems are able to support a lot of the things that are manually done.
What kind of research did you do at the outset into, the massage franchise industry before you? Because obviously it sounds like you weren't thinking about a massage franchise, but the opportunity was presented, and then you were like, "Oh, this could be good." I mean, there are other franchise massage businesses that have done well, and so forth. But I'm just kind of curious what kind of research you did into it at the outset.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, because there are many successful brands, I definitely was able to get an understanding of like their financial model and, what particular aspects of the businesses did well, how fast they were able to scale. So, yeah, so the access to that information was super helpful just in terms of laying the groundwork. But also, we did do consumer research. So again, really trying to understand like what are the pain points within the current system right now. And then also again on the people side of the business, like the staffing, because the reality is the demand for massage is like endless. Like we all want a massage and we want it now and yesterday and today and tomorrow. Like, and especially post pandemic, I'm even more bullish on massage as an experience and as an aspect of someone's wellness routine. Like that is absolutely going to be there. But you need therapists and a great team to be able to deliver a great experience. And so again, we just focused so much on like, okay, how can we create a great culture? How can we create operations that feel relational, which sounds odd, especially with technology. Like technology can either inhibit connection or advance it, and so we really tried with every decision again that we made. Like we've got a really strong communication platform whereby the team can communicate with any of us, management and or other people on the staff at any given time. And so it's like we've just tried to create accessibility and also really strong feedback loops for the team so that they feel like management does actually care and we do listen and we are thinking of them. And that was a big piece of my personal desire to do this. Was I felt like, oh, how cool that we're going to be able to like reshape the industry to be people first and people focused. I think that unfortunately that has been lost quite a bit within the industry. And so that's really our focus. It's also why we chose to franchise. At Drybar, we not only saw that our franchise partners end up performing much better than corporate locations, but also I loved the idea from my own experience as this being my first entrepreneurial venture. And then just seeing how we were impacting people's lives. Like, I loved the idea of creating this awesome community of small business owners that are all going to have each other as outlets and support, but that they get to experience this like magic in their own community. I mean, it's been phenomenal. So we opened our first location in March of 2019 in Studio City, and then we were open for like 11 months, and then COVID hit. So we're really just re-gearing back up,
Yeah.
and so it's exciting to me. I've just experienced so much purpose and fulfillment in what we've created. And I know that there are other people out there like myself who are wellness and health focused, but who really want to feel like they're making a difference. And I do believe that the way that we've built this business and the operations that we've put in place creates just true connection at every level. And it's pretty special. And I guess the one other thing I'll say on like the feel good side of the business that was also very intentional from the outset was we partnered with a philanthropy called Canine Companions for Independence. They're the largest philanthropic organization that helps to provide service dogs free of charge to people, children, and veterans with disabilities. And so for every membership that we sell, we're helping to provide a day of canine support to a person with a disability. And that has just brought so much, again, like fulfillment, meaning, intentionality on both the guest and the staff side. So it's like guests, our members feel, like they're doing good in contributing to our system, but our therapists also and our entire team, it's like cool to show up to work every day where not only the service that you're providing makes people feel good, but like we're doing good beyond our four walls. That's special. And, so I think that will be, I'm excited about that at scale also, because what a cool thing we'll eventually be able to do with 642 franchises.
And that'd be awesome. I can't wait to talk to you when you have that.
Yeah,
The
you and me both.
I know. So let's talk about the franchise experience. Let's talk about franchisees. I mean, obviously, you guys kicked this thing off in you said March 2019. The world changes a year later. Prior to COVID, it seems like you guys were off to a fast start. I mean, you had identified an area of the market that not only could be filled but could be tweaked a little bit. Added the technology piece of it. Clearly, I think from experiences with Drybar and so forth, you have a great design component to it, and you open up
Yeah.
in Studio City. The Studio City operation, is that the prototypical operation that you're looking to expand through franchising, or is it a smaller footprint? Is it the same kind of footprint and design?
Yeah, so there's definitely some learnings that we've had along the way that we're making a few adjustments on the design side, but not anything major and or impactful. The overall footprint of the location will be between 2,800 and 3,000 square feet, between 10 and 12 rooms. Of course, there's going to be certain markets where it makes sense to, have a larger footprint and more rooms than that, but that will be prototypical. I mean, again, the intention of wanting to personalize the in suite experience is definitely still in line, and making it a very seamless experience. So yes, I mean, again, there's always going to be learnings and like adjustments that we make along the way, but nothing major.
So, what's the type of franchisee you're looking to attract to the system? Number one, are you looking for single unit operators? Are you looking for people to come in and buy multiple locations, or what's the strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there is a very sophisticated multi unit operator that is interested in 5+ units, like we would love to entertain that conversation. But for right now, we're looking for, operating partners who are interested in 1 to 3 units. And, I think the intention behind that is just really making sure that we can get these open and to do it quickly. And also people who are very passionate about this space and the business. We really want people who are brand advocates who want to create just like an amazing experience out the gate. So definitely open to the larger players, but focusing on the 1 to 3 unit right now.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, you guys are young and new, but also really, really experienced because of Drybar.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I mean, it's a great dovetail because, usually when you've got newer franchisors, a lot of the pushback that you're going to get as a franchisor from prospective franchisees is, how do you know if this is going to work? Is this going to
Hmm.
work in a different market? Well, you have some good answers, I think, to that. Even though it's a new concept,
Yeah.
it's still in the same industry, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. The dry bar experience plus massage in and of itself, the industry is proven. I mean, dry bar was an entirely new concept, right? That like
yeah.
it's like for people like you, I'm sure you're like, what? That women are going to spend $40 to go in and get their hair styled every week. And we did have to prove that several times over. The great thing is that has already been proven several times over in the massage space. We are just making it better. I always like to compare us to, the Uber and Postmates of the world. It's like Uber just made taxis more efficient. Postmates just made, meal delivery more efficient. We're not creating anything. We're just reinventing and making the experience better. So yeah, so in that sense, with the dry bar experience that we have, the learnings that we've gained, what we've been able to actually apply, and then the industry being proven, we like to think it's a no-brainer.
Well, how are you going to, I mean, it seems like with this kind of model, a franchisee who's going to come in as an operator is truly going to be operating the business, looking at the profit and loss, the balance sheets, running the numbers.
Yep.
They're not going to be in there giving the massages, right? So
Right.
you got to get so you're looking for somebody who, has a passion for this type of business, but also has a business acumen of
Yes,
sorts, right?
absolutely. So, right. I mean, people who have a strong operations background, certainly team management, because again, you could be looking at upwards of 30+ people that, are working in one location. Anyone who has a wellness background, and or even technology. Actually, our first operating partner, who is out of Denver, her background was in technology and operations, but she had such strong, again, operational experience and then team management. Like she was, the number one manager of the year, supported her team. Like it's like we want people who understand people, because we've got the rest of it pretty much ready to hand over to you, and playbooks and systems and learning management platforms, etc. So it's like the people aspect is probably the most important, tied with, of course, some business and savvy and operational experience.
So if like on Squeeze's part, is there training? Obviously, there's training for the franchisee, for the owner
Yeah,
operator, how to
absolutely.
operate the business. I'm envisioning. I don't know this. I've never owned a business like this, but I'm imagining one of the challenges is getting good massage therapists,
Yeah.
licensed massage therapists. There's lots of people out there that do it, but having that right combination of ability and personality and all that kind of stuff. Is there any component to Squeeze that helps in identifying and finding those people, and or in training them,
Oh,
are they
yes.
already coming certified?
I mean, they will all be coming certified. However, we have a very clear recruiting playbook where we, set you up to hire all of the positions within the shop and help to identify um, not only local schools, but also digitally how to maximize those efforts. And then we 100% have full training around once those people are on board. Again, even though they're certified in massage, we want to make sure that they understand the squeeze experience and the specificity around what our processes are. So, yes, I mean, at every level and layer within the organization of the shop, we have a full training protocol and also access to support if and when needed. And that the training includes both having the operating partner, their shop manager, and even potentially their lead therapist out to our shop. And then certainly at opening, our team will be on the ground supporting them as well.
Well, so in our remaining few minutes here, let's talk about COVID.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
not the disease itself, but the
Uh,
impact of
yes.
it on your business, and how you guys got through that. I mean, talk about. I know it obviously had a major impact. I mean, it looks like, gosh, before you guys had tons of 5-star reviews, and you were rocking and rolling out of that
Yeah.
Studio
We
City
were.
location.
We were rocking and rolling, an NPS of 92, 5-star reviews on Google and Yelp, and yeah, I mean, we were well on our way. The business did, over 1.5 million in its first year, or its first 11 months, I should say. Personally, it was a very challenging time just because I'm such a bulldog. There's really like no stopping me when I, put my mind to something. And so just the fact that we literally, had our hands tied and there was nothing that we could do was very hard. But for the business itself, it's kind of interesting. We certainly, with the Studio City team, are far more connected just at like a visceral emotional level, that I feel like now that everyone is back at work, there's this massive appreciation and just gratitude to be back together and to be back doing what we love. And I would say that when we had already created such an amazing culture and we had such amazing people, but it's like after you go through something like that, just the coming back together was really powerful and amazing. And I think that again, just kind of we spent so much time throughout the pandemic focusing on our people, connecting with our people, going back again to like who they are, not just what they do. Like there's so much emphasis that we place around that, and I think that that's benefited us as we've reopened. So, I feel almost like in a
Well, what did you guys
way,
do though? Like in that, I mean, you were forced. I mean, in California, you
yeah.
guys were forced to close. You were just shut down.
Yes, well, I mean, we actually kept everyone on board for the first month, so we were everyone remained on payroll. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be what it ended up being, so we kind of ran that as long as we could, and again, that was like a commitment in demonstrating that we do truly, put our people first, and we've got this value called the feel good revolution, and we wanted people to feel confident and assured that they were going to have a job when they came back. But then once we had to furlough everyone, I mean, it was honestly just keeping open lines of communication. I mean, I personally reached out to our team consistently, phone calls, text messages. We did a few like team Zooms, so people were able to see each other and touch base on how they were doing. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was just demonstrating that we cared and that we were still there, and reassuring everyone that it wasn't a matter of if, it was just a matter of when we would reopen. And again, I think that really went a long way and meant a lot to the team, and having confidence that they would have a job when this was all said and done. And I think the other thing for franchising that's exciting is, in a way, I'm kind of grateful that we didn't have a ton of small business owners to support through this time, because what a
That
stressful,
actually, that's a
wild,
really good point. That's a really good
yeah,
point, Brittany, because
yeah,
seriously, like this is, I mean, I've seen this, it has been a struggle for a lot of folks because,
yeah,
well, number one, if you're just forced to shut down, what can you really do? I mean, a lot of people looked at, digital type programs or other
right.
kinds of ways to provide value to their members. But I didn't even really think about it till you just mentioned it. That's really true. The fact you guys didn't really have anybody that other
Yeah,
you had your studio, but
exactly.
now
Yeah, but now I feel like we're set up even better, to be honest, because we obviously utilized the time to our advantage and we've like sophisticated all of our operations playbooks and everything that is going to be needed to support future operating partners on the admin side. But also, I mean, post pandemic, 80% of Americans are going to be spending more time focusing on their wellness and prioritizing that. Not to mention that for operating partners, they're going to be able to take advantage of great real estate. And I think we all know just from history with recessions, both franchising and massage therapy rise post recession. So it's like I feel just that much more confident in everything as we move forward.
well, I mean, I think that one of the silver linings as you're talking about is that COVID, beyond the health aspects, was a forced slowdown for everybody and a forced simplification. I know in my own life, I had been wanting to forever, work more from home and go for walks every day and do those sorts of things. And then it was like, well, okay, shit. I'm home doing it. I mean, I'm at home. Why don't I just go for a walk? So, Brittany, as we get to sort of the final part of the interview, tell me a little bit about, what are the plans for the future for Squeeze?
Yeah, so we are currently franchising the concept. We're speaking with small business owners and entrepreneurs all around the country who are interested in, really taking their future into their own hands and bringing a great experience to their community. We love the idea of franchising for many of the reasons that we spoke about, but really just giving people the tools to create something meaningful, in their city and their town, and really hopefully just impacting both their guests and team members for good is really our big vision here. So yeah, I mean, we've got our one location in Los Angeles and hoping to be in places like Scottsdale and Salt Lake City and Dallas and Houston and anywhere in, the tri-state area, DC, Atlanta, Nashville, certainly. This is where I'm headquartered, and then also Florida is a big target market for us. And we're speaking with several people in all of those areas, but for anyone who's listening who might be interested, we'd love to chat.
Well, it sounds fantastic. If anybody wants to learn more about Squeeze Massage, you can go to squeezemassage.com/franchising. That is squeezemassage.com/franchising. Brittany, you've got all these Facebook links and Twitter and all that stuff. Would you want people to reach out to you directly or go to the Squeeze Massage page?
Yeah, the squeezemassage.com/franchising page is the best place to go to learn a lot more about the concept, what we're looking for. There's also a form at the bottom where you can fill in your information. And once that is filled and submitted, our team will reach out immediately to discuss more. So that's definitely the best place. But if you just want to stay in touch with us, we definitely encourage, anyone to follow us on Instagram. It's just the simple @squeeze or on Facebook as well.
Well, listen, first of all, congratulations just making it through this last hellacious year. And I'm saying that
Thank
seriously. I
you.
mean, there's a lot of people who haven't made it through. So you guys,
Yeah.
I know it's tough. It's still tough, but the future is looking brighter. And hopefully a year from now, we'll catch back up and you'll have multiple locations in all those areas that you highlighted.
Yes, I look forward to that very much. And thank you so much for having me too. It's been very fun.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Franchise Euphoria. If you enjoyed it, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. It really helps to get this show out to more and more people. Also, if you have any questions, have ideas for guests or topics, please email me, josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. That's josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. And finally, please note that this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes and is not in any way, shape, or form meant to be any kind of legal advice. If you're seeking legal advice, please contact a lawyer. Have a great one. Happy franchising.